the horror with your hostess with the most, Jennifer. As always, happy Friday. So we're doing a documentary of the week. Well, sort of a documentary of the week. I would consider this a documentary, but we're going to be talking about Fleetwood Mac Destiny Rules. Now, this is rather on the older side. This came out in 2004. This is pretty much about the making of their 2003 album, Say You Will, which, little backstory just so you guys know, that album, that Say You Will album, actually was supposed to be and started out as a solo album for Lindsey Buckingham. And he actually had, I think most of the members of Mac on like various tracks of this album already. I mean, I think he may have had Christine McVie do a couple of vocals. Pretty sure her ex-husband John McVie, I think, already had done like a couple of like bass tracks for some of the songs. And I know Mick Fleetwood had done a couple of like a little bit of drums for a couple of songs, but not like the entire thing. It was just like here and there, like sporadically. The only one really at the time wasn't involved was Stevie Nicks. But I think somewhere along the line, like, they kind of started to figure, like, hey, you know, this really is kind of more like a Fleetwood Mac album. And I think Stevie then kind of started showing a little interest of, like, hey, maybe we should do another album and everything. You know, we reunited, like, a few years ago. Maybe we should, you know, take a stab at it. So, you know, I think she was even kind of like, hey, after you're done with this album, maybe we should kind of, you know, think about doing another Fleetwood Mac album. Well, things kind of happened, and they figured, hey, we'll just kind of add on to this and make it a Fleetwood Mac album and everything. And I have to say, that album, if you guys have not heard it, I really enjoy that album. It's one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac albums of all time, worth listening to. But this is actually one that, like I said, is kind of their journey of starting to, you know, get back together, bringing Stevie in to write some tracks, record tracks and everything. And a lot of it is because I know the album was almost done and about to release. And then, you know, like I said, they figured, hey, let's make it a Fleetwood Mac album. So they literally had to bring Stevie in, told her to write some songs or bring in some songs that she maybe want to do, lay down those tracks and everything, put her vocals on some of or I should say on the other tracks that were already laid out and everything, and really kind of to see how, you know, like different like conflicts and everything, and different concerns and everything that go into this band and everything. Really like kind of good look into sort of how this band operates and everything. Like I know at one point Lindsey wanted to make this a double album and everything, because, you know, he brought up a couple of good points. I know it really would kind of sound like very kind of egotistical and arrogant to most people, but I understand where he's kind of coming from with this. You know, he was kind of saying how, hey, you know, like, it really shouldn't matter if, you know, we make tons and tons of money off this. Like, do you want something more commercial, or do you want something that's, you know, more true to yourself, more like artistic and everything? You know, because that's what I want. I want something more artistic, not necessarily might be so commercial. You know, I respect that, because if you do listen to a lot of Lindsey Buckingham's solo stuff, or even something like Tusk, very different sounding than what a lot of the Fleetwood Mac stuff sounds like. You know, on the contrary to like what Stevie Nicks' solo albums sound like. I mean, I love her to death. I love her solo albums, but a lot of those songs just sound like Fleetwood Mac albums, but it's a solo album by Stevie. I mean, no disrespect to that. I love my girl Stevie. But like I said, he, you know, really, you know, I give him credit for wanting to do that and being like, hey, you know what, I would rather put all these, you know, songs that I'm really proud of, you know, might not be commercial, might not be like radio friendly, but I want to do something that I'm proud of and do this double disc. And like, you know, you got like Mick and Stevie saying like, well, no, like, you know, we need to like keep in mind, like, you know, we all have families. You have a family. You've got some young kids, at least at the time he did. You know, and plus other people, if we go on the road and stuff, we want it to be successful enough to be able to, feed these families and everything. It's not just us. And it's kind of like at the same time, it's like, well, you guys are Fleetwood Mac. Like, you guys are still making tons of money off of freaking rumors. I can tell you that right now. So it's like I see both sides, but I definitely sided a little bit more with Lindsay on this, just because, like I said, the work that he does on solo stuff, and like it's not your commercial friendly sort of music, but it is really, really good. So it's kind of a shame that we didn't really get that double album, but at the same time, you figure we did get like a ton of songs on that album. So actually, oh, I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. Because you figure on this album here, we have I don't even know how many songs they have. I think it's like quite a few though that they have. It's like I think like at least 15 or so of these songs, and it's a really good album. Like I said, it's a really good album. But it's unfortunate that we didn't get like the double album of it or anything. But yeah, it's a really good like kind of like insight on how this band kind of works, operates, and everything, and how this album actually kind of came about and all this. So definitely worth watching and everything. Even if you're not like the biggest Fleetwood Mac fan, still worth a good watch. So I don't think that this is on YouTube or anything. Or on Netflix or anything, but I'm sure you could probably come across it on YouTube and watch it, but definitely worth checking out. So, but anyway, you guys, until next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.